He was charming, smart, and even won a date on national TV. But behind that smile was a monster who raped, tortured, and murdered for years without getting caught. This is the chilling story of Rodney Alcala, the man who fooled America and left behind a trail of horror. Buckle up, because this one is disturbing. Rodney Alcala, also known as the dating game killer, is one of the most twisted serial killers in U.S. history. A man who hid behind a camera and a charming smile while committing some of the most brutal crimes imaginable. His story spans over 40 years, and it's filled with missed warnings, lucky escapes, and pure evil. Rodney Alcala was born in San Antonio, Texas, in 1943. His father left when he was young, and his mother moved the family to Los Angeles. At 17, Alcala joined the army, but just a few years later, he was discharged due to mental illness, diagnosed with severe antisocial personality disorder. But instead of getting help, he got smarter. He enrolled in UCLA and earned a fine arts degree. He also loved photography, a hobby he would later use to lure victims. In 1968, Alcala committed his first known crime. He kidnapped and brutally attacked 8-year-old Tali Shapiro. Tali was walking to school when Alcala lured her into his car. A nearby driver saw what happened and called the police. When they arrived at Alcala's apartment, they found Tali on the kitchen floor, bloody, beaten, and barely alive. While they rushed to save her life, Alcala slipped out the back door and vanished. Inside his apartment, police found disturbing photographs, many of young girls, but Alcala was gone. And it would be years before he was found again. After fleeing California, Alcala changed his name to John Berger and moved to New York City. He got into NYU's film school and even worked at a girls' summer camp in New Hampshire. Yes, a wanted child predator working at a girls' camp. Eventually, 2 campers recognized him from a most wanted poster and called the police. Alcala was finally arrested in 1971 and sent back to LA. But here's the shocker. He didn't serve much time. Because Tali Shapiro's family had moved to Mexico, prosecutors were forced to make a deal. Alcala pled guilty to child molestation. That's it. He was sentenced to 1 year to life, and because of a broken parole system, he was released after just 34 months. Weeks later, he was back in jail for giving marijuana to a 13-year-old girl. But again, he only served 2 years. Once free, Alcala wasted no time. He started killing. In November 1977, he raped and murdered 18-year-old Jill Barcombe. He smashed her face with a rock and left her posed in the Hollywood Hills. A month later, he killed 27-year-old Georgia Wickstead, using a hammer to assault her, then strangling her with a nylon stocking. In 1979, he murdered Charlotte Lamb in a laundry room, then 21-year-old Jill Parenteau in her own apartment. His victims were often found posed, almost like artwork, sick, twisted artwork. And then came 12-year-old Robin Samso. In June 1979, Alcala approached Robin and her friend at Huntington Beach. He asked to take their pictures. A neighbor intervened, and Robin left on her bike. She never made it to dance class. Her body was found weeks later in the San Gabriel Mountains. Animals had gotten to her, but what police found was horrifying. Her front teeth were knocked out, and her body showed signs of extreme violence. This time, Alcala slipped up. After Robin's murder, police found a storage unit rented by Alcala. Inside were hundreds of disturbing photos and items belonging to victims. One pair of earrings was identified by Robin's mom. This evidence finally led to Alcala's arrest. In 1980, he was convicted and sentenced to death. But it didn't end there. His conviction was overturned. Twice. It would take 3 trials over 3 decades before the system truly caught up to him. In his final trial in 2010, Alcala acted as his own attorney. He questioned himself on the stand, switching voices like a bad movie character. He played a creepy folk song called Alice's Restaurant to try and manipulate the jury. It didn't work. He was convicted of 5 murders and sentenced to death. Investigators also linked him to at least 2 murders in New York, including a flight attendant and a nightclub heiress. After his conviction, police released over 100 photos found in Alcala's locker. hoping the public could identify potential victims. Some were identified. Many remain unknown. The true number of Alcala's victims is still unclear, but many believe it could be over 100. Nye Alcala died on death row in 2021. He was 77 years old. Rodney Alcala fooled judges, parole boards, and even the audience of a dating game show. But behind the charm was a calculating predator. His story isn't just about murder, it's about how easy it is for evil to hide in plain sight. If you found this story chilling, make sure to like and subscribe for